Habakkuk 2 and verse 12. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, establisheth a city by iniquity.
My ancestors were slaves. In 2005, is it true that J.P. Morgan released information directly indicating that it directly benefited from slavery? Would the representative from J.P. Morgan respond?
I do believe that in 2005 we made a report about potential transactions that involved slavery between J.P. Morgan or its heritage companies back in the 1800s.
In fact, there was an indication, I believe, that you accepted loans against slaves as collateral. True?
I believe that to be true, yes.
For edification purposes, have any of the other banks compiled a study as to whether or not you have benefited from slavery? If so, raise your hand, please. Let the record reflect that none have raised a hand. Not one has raised a hand. Do you believe that your bank benefited from slavery in some way in terms of its business practices? If so, raise your hand. If you do not believe that it benefited, raise your hand. Let the record reflect that all but Mr. Diamond raised a hand. Thank you.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakha Korash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone. Salutations to all that I can push his word, but use sincerity and with charity. Yahweh is the true name of the Heavenly Father, whom the world ending calls God, and Jehovah Bahasham is in the name. Yahweh Shai is his son's name, but the world ending calls Jesus. And Rakha Korash is the Holy Spirit. And as always, I'm the brother Yadiah from the Great Millstone Branch here in Chicago, back with another lesson to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which are the Israelites according to the Holy Scriptures, as well as the speckled bird, the scattered Israelite foreigner, scattered amongst other nations, whose outer appearance may seem to be of those nations to whom they've been scattered to, but whose lineage through their father's line back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You are Israelites no matter what your outer appearance may seem to be. And I'm back at another lesson. It's going to be entitled "Establisheth a City with Iniquity." And as you've seen in this video that we watched, you had this what looked like court case or whatever, and they was going in on how J.P. Morgan, how they how basically they're in the beginning of their industry, it was all funded or had some involvement with slavery. You see, and hey, it's the spirit that the Lord is bringing all these things out, because he's getting ready to visit this place. Because at the end of the day, we are the apple of the Lord's eye. You so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, we are the Israelites, you see. And the Lord, as a punishment for our disobedience, he gave us over into the hands of you Edomites. And as the scripture said, you have very heavily laid the yoke upon us. And you put us through a rigorous slavery. But now we're at the end of that. You see, and the Lord is getting ready to take that cup of judgment that we drink from out of our hands and put it in you devil's hands. But before that, the Lord is bringing out all the wickedness that you've done to us. You see, this Isaiah 47:6, it says, I was wroth with my people. I polluted mine inheritance and given them into thy hand. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid the yoke. And when the Lord gave you over, took the power out of our hand and raised you up, you ruled over our people, you destroyed them, and you profited greatly off them. And the truth of the matter is, this whole so-called country, Babylon the Great, so-called America, this whole economy was built off the backs of the Israelites. You see, and as you seen in that video, the Lord is bringing all these things into bringing these up to the forefront, because a judgment day is approaching. You see, the scriptures tell you that the Most High requires that which is past. You see, so the past injustices, the Lord is going to require that from you. You see, and I just want to touch on a few precepts, because you got the devil, the self-proclaimed white man, trying to cover up this history, and trying to erase it. But the Lord kept account of it. And I have this article right here. And it's from digitalhistory.uh.edu, but it goes into the significance that chattel slavery, which is slavery that took place upon our people, and the scriptures tell you that none of the heaven have been done as have been done upon Jerusalem. The worst judgments, the worst captivities happened to our people, the so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, over 100 million so-called black African Americans, which are the tribe of Judah, and over 200 million Native Americans massacred at the hands of these devils. But this article, it says, it goes into how slavery contributed to the early development of America. It says slavery played a crucial role in the development of modern world economy. And they not just Americans, but all of them. Revelation 11 chapter says they sent gifts one to another, and those gifts were us, But it says slaves provided the labor power necessary to settle and develop the new world. Slaves also produced the products for the first mass consumer markets: sugar, tobacco, coffee, cocoa, and later cotton. And these are base goods that were popular. They were hot. It says slavery was integral. Let's look at that word integral really quick. It says integral, necessary to make a whole, complete, essential for fundamental. You see? So slavery was the foundation, as it's going to say, of the earliest multinational systems of credit and trade that arose in the 15th and 16th century. The so-called African slave trade also stimulated European shipping, manufacturing, and gun making. You see? So off our backs, this whole system was strengthened. It says during the earliest, it was founded. Is a better wordage. It says during the earliest phases of capitalistic development, planters, masters, craftsmen, and other early capitalists could not afford to pay wages. Chronically in debt, New World planters would exploit slave labor with expending scarce money. Slavery provided the cheapest and most expedient way to meet the demand for labor and mining and agriculture, right? And these devils had us in chains for hundreds of years, followed by Jim Crow, unequal pay, and so forth. And they totally profit over 200% off that. You see? But yet they want to push the narrative that so-called Blacks, Latino, Native American lazy. We don't do nothing. Hey, we got a saying: the Southern Kingdom builded America, and the Northern Kingdom managed it, kept it going. But it says the next paragraph says the slave trade had profound consequences for Europe between the early 15 and 1800s. The slave trade became one of Europe's largest and most profitable industries. And the scriptures tell you, let me see if I can grab this really quick. This first Maccabees 2:10. It says, what nation have not had a part in her kingdom and got of her spoils? And all these devils, whether it been the French Edomite, the German Edomite, the Dutch Edomite, the English Edomite, whatever it be, all these nations had a hand in our captivity. You see, Psalms 83rd chapter. They all were in covenant together, in agreement, confederate together to cut off the nation of Israel from being in remembrance. And doing so enslaved our people, mistreated our people, didn't pay us nothing, and got rich. But the Lord is going to require judgment for that. It says the slave trade became one of Europe's largest and most profitable industries. Profits from the slave trade were said to run as high as 300%. In the middle 18th century, a third of the British merchant fleet was engaged in transporting 50,000 Israelites a year to the New World. It says, but it wasn't just slave traders or New World planters who benefited from the slave trade. American ship owners, farmers, and fishermen also profited from slavery. Right. It says slavery played a pivotal, let's look at that word, pivotal of crucial importance in relationship to the development or success of something else. So our slavery was pivotal, was crucial, was necessary for the success of Babylon the Great to flourish, right? It says the role and the growth of commercial common capitalism in the colonies. The slave plantations of the West Indies became the largest market for American fish, oats, corn, flour, lumber, peas, beans, and hogs and horses. New Englanders distilled molasses produced by slaves in the French and Dutch West Indies into rum. While slavery did not create a major share of the capital that finances Europe's Industrial Revolution, profits from the slave trade and New World plantations did not add up to 5% of Britain's national income at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. Slave labor did produce the major consumer goods that were the basis of world trading during 17, 18, and early 19th centuries, man. You see? So, the injustices that was done upon us, it said it was the basis for, it produced a major consumer goods for 3 centuries, right? It says coffee, cotton, rum, sugar, and tobacco. In addition, the slave trade provided stimulus to shipbuilding, banking, and insurance, and Africa became a major market for iron, textiles, firearms, and rum, right? And all these companies, whether they be the J.P. Morgans or whatever it may be, it all had its roots in our captivity, man. And the Lord is gonna judge you nations for that. He that toucheth you touches the apple of his eye. Now these devils, because they got the they try and say, well, that was back then, this is now. Well, just as as it says in Lamentations, our fathers have sinned and we have not, and we have borne their iniquities. Same thing is with you. Because reincarnations in the scriptures, you nations were empowered back then, and your children, you enslaved us and profited and passed that wealth down to your children, and you were set up, And I kind of hit like 2 different points. Point being, these are the same devils from back then. Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, Isaiah 14, And then also, they did get rich and heavily rich of our captivity and passed that wealth down generation to generation. They got that term old money. Psalm 17:13. Arise, O Yahweh, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. And the wicked, according to Malachi, the 1st chapter, it tells you that Esau is the border of wickedness. Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter, that man of sin, the son of perdition, who exalteth himself as God and sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Who is this? It's the Edomite, the self-proclaimed white man, which is the sword of the Lord. Verse 14, from men which are thy hand, O Yahweh, from men of the world which have their portion in this life, right? And Job 21, Psalms, the 73rd chapter, tell you that they got this world, but the Lord reserved this one unto fire, right? It says, which have their portion in this life, and whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure, they are full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. And they pass that down and mock and scoff Jake. The scripture say they speak loftily concerning oppression. You see? Wisdom of Solomon 5:1. Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such have afflicted him, which are you nations, chiefly the self-proclaimed white man, our chief oppressor, and made no account of his labors. And that's what we're doing. The Lord sent down the Holy Spirit, risen up his prophets. Now his prophets teach us, the church is leading the believers back unto him. And that's what you see. Jake professing themselves to be Israel once again. Yasha Allah, he prince of the power. Yeah, Revelation says all that seen them were terrified, because they understand that they're finna pay for what they've done. You see? Habakkuk 2:8, because thou hast spoiled many nations, and the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, and of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Right, and you spoil nations, chiefly the chief nation, Israel, the Israelites, so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, but you also oppressed everyone. You're the oppressing sword that ruled the nations in anger, right? It says, because of men's blood, it was filled in her the blood of the saints, right? And of all them that dwell therein, woe to him that coveteth an evil, coveteth to his house. They may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. It says, thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people and hast sinned against thy soul, right? And that he had it in his mind that he was going to reign forever, that he was going to get away with all this wickedness. But no, the Lord is bringing it right back out right before he convicts you. You see? It says, verse 11, for the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer it. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and establisheth a city by iniquity. And the whole origins of this place of our captivity, this hell, even to this day, you know, it's been nothing but bloodshed, murder, injusticeness, which are things that the Heavenly Father abhors, right? And this whole land has been set up this way and ruled in corruption, unrighteousness. So you say, hey, we know what the Lord is finna do to this place. He finna Hadouken. Habakkuk 2:16, thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered, right? And the Lord is exposing Esau Edom, the self-proclaimed white man. When he's not white, nothing is white about him. He's red. Nothing is pure about him. He's actually the criminal, the crimson. He's the criminal, right? It says, let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of Yahweh's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. And that's what you see. You got his own women rising up against him, his own people rising up against him, these other nations calling him out for the devil that he is. And the chief, the Israelites, the elect, telling this man that he ain't shit to his face, right? And telling the Lord to come back and judge him. This is on Revelation 18:1. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lighted with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become the habitations of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. And I believe Revelation 17, it says that great city, speaking of Babylon, is that city which reigneth over the earth. And what's the leading so-called country? Babylon the Great. Who runs the UN? Babylon the Great, right? NATO and the EU, who has the most say, right? This is the whore that's riding upon that beast system, right? And ultimately, the Lord's going to destroy this place. It says it's going to be it says Babylon the Great is fallen, and its fallen has become the habitation of devils and the hold of every foul spirit and cage of every unclean and hateful bird. In Isaiah the 13th chapter and Isaiah the 34th chapter are precepts to this Revelation the 18th chapter, showing you that those books are speaking of a prophetic Babylon the Great, a future Babylon, not over there in Iraq. But nonetheless, it says a cage of every unclean and hateful bird, right? And the only thing that's going to be left here in this land after the Lord judges it with his determination, which is those ICBM intercontinental ballistic missiles with those nukes in them, when he lets those get shot off into the earth, 2nd Esdras 16 is going to be to fulfill his will. Revelation the 17th chapter, which is to burn this place with fire. You see? So it says verse 2, and the only thing that's going to be left here are those birds, those desert creatures that's going to be here. It says, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornications, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Right. And these nations took hold of her currency, the debt-based system, the dollar, its philosophies, its ways of life, and its goods. You see? It says, and are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. It says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partaker of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High have remembered her iniquities. Right. And the Lord is going to destroy this place. And he's telling his people, well, at this point, hey, we're going to look up and see Yahweh coming in the clouds, the UFOs, so-called UFOs. And as it says in Thessalonians, we're going to meet the Lord in the clouds, and we're going to ever so be with him, roughly paraphrasing. That's the deliverance. So why you keep seeing all these UFO commercials? Oh, we seen a UFO. No, those are the chariots of Israel. That's our deliverance out of this place when those nukes are on the way. That's the only way out is up. Verse 6, reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works, and the cup which she had filled to her double. And right, and this place is going to get what it done to us, right? You try to eradicate the children of Israel, you put a hardcore slavery on them, well, you finna get destroyed. We're going to put you nations in 1,000 years of captivity, right? How much she have glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and I am no widow, and I shall see no sorrow. And the Lord is going to refresh his name in the earth when he judges this place. Just as the Lord Yahweh made a name for himself when he destroyed physical Egypt, back in there in Western Asia. Same thing the Lord is going to do now. Jeremiah 16th chapter. The Lord is going to destroy this place, knowing that he's going to destroy the hammer of the earth, as the scriptures call it, right? Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is Yahweh power who judgeth her, right? And what's that fire? Those ICBMs. You can read Zechariah, the 12th chapter, 13th chapter, I believe. Isaiah 34, 2 Ezra 16, Isaiah the 13th chapter, those arrows. It says Yahweh, matter of fact, let me grab this precept. Weapons of his indignation. I think that's Isaiah 13. Jeremiah 50:25. Yahweh have opened his army and have brought his armory and have brought forth the weapons of his indignation, right? And the scriptures tell you in Isaiah, I created the smith that bloweth the coals and the artificer to bring forth a weapon. I just totally butchered it. But these nuclear weapons, this is the Lord's doing. You had that guy Putin and Tucker Carlson sit down. I believe it was either Tucker or Tucker that said it, but he said, look, you in America have these weapons that if they get shot off, that's the end of the human race. All these nations know that, but yet the determination of the Lord is going to happen. The will of the Lord is going to happen. This place is going to get nuked as well as the other place the Lord wishes. But these are his weapons, point being. For this is the work of Yahweh, power of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans. Isaiah 13:5. They come from a far country, intercontinental, cross-continent, ballistic missiles carrying nuclear warheads, which is the strongest bomb created. It says they come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even Yahweh in the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. I'm going to jump down to verse 9. Behold, the day of Yahweh cometh, cruel both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. That's what the Lord is coming to do to this land. Revelation 18:10. Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment coming. This place is going to get destroyed, decimated, broken into 3 parts in 1 hour. Verse 11, and these other nations, they're going to stand off and look at that bitch that they once had that made them all this money, right? At last, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. It says, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. And Babylon once was known for exporting goods, American-made so-called vehicles and so forth. Now they're more so importing goods. They're a consumer nation now. And that's how these other nations got rich. But it says, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. The merchandise of gold and of silver and of precious stones and of pearls and of fine linen, purple and silk, scarlet and all thine wood, and all manner of vessels of ivory, and all manner of vessels of most precious wood, and of brass and iron and marble. These are different goods, the commodities that come out of this place. And cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and the fine flour and the wheat and beast and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. You see? This is the legacy that this place has tied to it. And the Lord is going to judge it for it, chiefly as to what's been done to our people. It says, and the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all thy things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for fear of her torment, weeping and wailing. Right, and these other nations sell their goods here now. You know, they got rich through this place, you know, selling their goods to this place. It says, and when it falls, they're going to be weeping because no more money going to get made. Next thing they're going to see is the government of Israel come down. Yahweh shine his 144,000 to take the world. The saints shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever. And saying, alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, for in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all companies and ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city, great America? Great America. And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness, for in 1 hour she made desolate. And that's the judgment that's going to come in 1 hour, right? Verse 20. Rejoice over her, right? You Israelites should be rejoicing. Not say, I want to see America good. No, nigga. This is the place of our captivity. And the Lord is going to destroy it for the controversy of Zion. Rejoice over her, thou heaven and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God have avenged you on her. Right? And this is the judgment that's coming to this place for what's been done unto us. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. And the voice of harpers and of musicians and pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee, and no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee, and the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee, and the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee, for thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. By his witchcraft, you know, it's dollar. It's so-called light, which was actual darkness. It says, and in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that were slain upon the earth. That's the judgment coming for this place. In her you had the blood of the prophets and of the saints, the children of Israel, and as well as the other nations as well, or other peoples. Chiefly, you know, the only people that matter, you Israelites. Exodus 21:16, and he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. The minor prophets tell you that the Lord is going to come and collect his jewels. And he's going to enter into the house of the thief. Who is the thief? Esau himself proclaimed white man, Lord will get you. Sirach 21:8, he that buildeth his house with other man's money is like one that gathereth himself stones for the tomb of his burial. And we are in your hand till this day. Jeremiah 50:25, all that took hold of them, took them captives and wouldn't let them go, roughly paraphrasing. When the Lord returns, he's going to visit Edom, to which the children of Israel will be delivered from it. Where is Edom ruling? Babylon the Great. Zechariah 2:8, for thus saith Yahweh of hosts, after the glory have he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you, for he that toucheth you touched the apple of his eye. Every nation that put their hands on the least of Jake, you offended the Lord. For behold, I will shake my hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servants, and ye shall know that Yahweh of hosts have sent me. The Lord's going to flip the spectrum. We're going to become the head, and these nations are going to become the tail. We're going to be a nation of kings and priests. They're going to be our servants. Amos 9:13, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that the plowman, which is us, shall overtake the reaper, who's reaping all the benefits. Esau, Edom, so proclaim white man, the rest of these nations. And the treader of grapes, him that soweth seed. And the mountains shall drop sweet wine, and all the hills shall melt. And I will bring again the captivity of my people of Israel. The Lord's going to take us out of captivity set us up in our land. We're going to be lords of it. And they shall build the way cities and inhabit them. And they shall plant vineyards and drink the wine thereof. They shall also make gardens and eat the fruit of them. And that's the curses being taken off of us. And it's gonna the blessings are gonna be upon us. And you nations are gonna be our servants. Lord, when this was an edifying, uplifting lesson, call her like La, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shah Bahasham, Rakha Korash, the bond elders and the apostles of the great millstone, which taught me this truth. So he teaches to all that I can push his word with true sincerity with charity. Shalom, Brakatham, Wa Kwam Yashwala, Shalom.